Hey, everybody. Happy solstice. Today is the winter solstice, the shortest day of the year if you are in the northern hemisphere. So if you thought it got dark early, it's really going to get dark early today. So
Wasn't the summer solstice like 4 months ago?
yesterday is
Like,
wild. It's wild.
I would need to
Time.
Google this date and see what happened when it was, because I don't.
That would have been June.
Are we sure?
That's when it happened, June.
Okay, y'all.
So
Hi, weird and wild entry. Y'all know how she knows everything. She's just a fact machine. I don't
I
even need
can
to Google it. It's in June. She told me it's true. Adelia says it's in June. It's in June. Okay. All right. Fine.
I love a fun fact. Okay. I learned the other day how to say it in Spanish and I have since forgot. So I got to go look that up again because
Winter
I'm going to.
solstice.
No, fun fact.
Oh, fun fact. Okay, I was like,
Yeah.
what kind of witchery were you doing that you need to know solstice in Spanish? Fun fact makes more sense.
Yes, fun fact,
Okay.
fun fact. So, hello to everybody. I know this is a little early for us on a Wednesday, but my guest today is 4,000 miles away, and this is a time that fit her schedule. So that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. Today, we are going to be talking about all things money with Miss Rashida Dow, aka Rashida Doe herself. She is joining us from Dakar, Senegal. But before we jump into that, let me introduce myself. In case there are any people here or watching the replay that are new, my name is Adelia Borishade. Although most of the people on the internet know me as Picky Girl Travels the World, including the lady who came up to me in TJ Maxx. Was it TJ Maxx or Ross? She was like, Picky Girl? Too funny. I am a financial educator, an expat coach, a solo travel expert. I help Black women gain financial confidence so they can do whatever their heart desires, including traveling the world and moving abroad. So if any of that sounds of interest to you, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications so that you can catch my next live video or the next time I upload a pre-recorded video, whenever that might happen to be. Who knows? Who knows? So yeah, that's who I am. My guess, most of you probably know who she is. You know Rashida as a career break coach extraordinaire, or as part of the dynamic duo responsible for the Exodus Summit, which is the preeminent online event for Black women who want to take a sabbatical, travel the world, or move abroad. But there is more to Miss Rashida than that. So much more. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. We are going to start with Rashida Doe, your new YouTube channel.
Okay.
Yeah, let's talk about that. What's up with that? Why you don't have enough to do already?
I do. On a scale of 1 to nothing, I like to do nothing. Right? And so adding something extra isn't really something I wanted to do. It was more like I wanted to stay organized. So I want to talk more about, okay, I'm just gonna back it all the way up. I'm back it all the way up for y'all. Exodus Summit. For those of you that went to Exodus Summit, you know this year we talked about making move abroad money, right? Getting move abroad money. So different ways that we can make money. One of the people, my partner in all things business and crime, but not life, Stephanie Perry, who's here. She is kind of my partner in life too, but not like that, right? Every time I say my partner, I'm like, people don't always know what I mean by that. So I feel like I have to add a little extra on it. Okay, so she presented something on YouTube, and I've had my YouTube channel for 4 years now, over 4 years. Next year I'll hit a 5-year mark. And maybe I made some mistakes on the channel, but that's not the point. The point is there were a lot of different ways that women were talking about making money, and I was like, what if I catalog some of that on my YouTube channel? But for my existing YouTube channel, there'd be too much going on. It'd be too much of this and this and this and this and this. So I was like, what if I do 2 separate channels and have my existing one, She Is on the Loose, which I'm going to rebrand just to Rashida Dow, which will make more sense, Rashida Dow and Rashida Dow. See, it's 2 separate. Yes. Okay. So Rashida Dow, my handle is Rashida, because Rashida Dow wasn't available. I was like, YouTube, who else? An Arabic first name and a Scottish last name. Like, it's not a lot of other people who gonna hit you with like, who has his name? YouTube, who took the name? Anyway, big tangent. That's gonna be more like career break stuff and living in Mexico, because those are the things I've really been talking about over there. And this one's gonna be like all things money. Except for spending. Maybe we'll talk about spending money too. We'll talk about
I think you should talk about spending.
Speaking of spending money, because I love a good tangent, I almost wore the earrings that you're wearing today, which remind you, I was sitting here as I was watching you do the intro, I was like, if we have the same earrings, and I'm a maximalist, and you're a minimalist, perhaps one of us isn't as ist as we think we are.
Sometimes those paths cross.
Do they?
Yeah, they do. I
Do
think so.
they?
I think so.
All right, see, I almost wore those. They're right over there tonight. Anyway, so we'll talk about ways to make money. We'll talk to women who are making money in ways they learned from the summit. Because this is the thing that comes up all the time when people talk about moving abroad. It's like, cool, but like, where the money coming from, right? Like, where the dough at, right? And so that is one of the things I want to talk about on this channel. It's one of the things I wanted to do, was to give people another platform where they can see ways to make money. Because in a lot of channels, you'll see videos like 7 side hustles you should start right now. Or, I always got to try not to be shady. I was watching a video yesterday, and it was talking about like great habits to start. And one was one of the habits to start. If you've seen this video, you know what I'm talking about. Sorry, but I got to say this. One of the habits to start, was to like work on your side hustle. Cool. And they were like, dedicate at least an hour a week to your side hustle. Baby, if you're doing an hour a week on your side hustle, you ain't getting no money. Like, if you have an established business and you've gotten it down, you've gotten systems in place to get it down to an hour a week, fine. But people giving advice like spend an hour a week on your side, it's just not realistic. Like, Adelia, have you ever built a business on an hour a week?
No, absolutely not. I mean, and we all know I am a horrible capitalist. Okay, so I'm clueless as can be. But an hour a week or an hour a day?
A week.
No, you can't make any money like that. No.
I ran it back like,
No.
Am I missing something? Am I missing something? Because there's all of this advice online, but like a lot of it isn't realistic and a lot of it isn't going to get you results. And so I want to talk to people who are getting results and bring you them live and show me doing things I learned at the summit and doing it live, and like talk about the different ways that you can manifest money through action, right? Like, we love to manifest. We love to talk about manifesting, but it requires some action. And so what are the actions that you can take to manifest the money that you want in the different ways? And so that's what this challenge is about. And to avoid things like, here's a list of 7 side hustles with no context, right? No, like, how much work is it going to require? Not like, would this be right for me? It's just a list of 7 things I can try. And like, now what? Right? That's not a terrible video, but that's not that video.
It's not the
by
most
itself,
helpful thing. It's not the
going
most
to help you
helpful.
make money, not by
No.
itself. You need like probably 15, 20 more videos, right? If that's your starting place. And so I want to have like a trampoline that people can launch themselves off of. That's what I want from this channel. All right, super long. We went in 1,000 different routes.
Well, that's a given. So, and I think I was saying this before we started, it's December. I think it is very hard to be very linear and very focused in this month. I just don't think it's a thing. So we're not going to try.
Yeah.
Okay. So your new channel isn't necessarily more work. It's just kind of putting some of the work that you're already doing in a special place explicitly for that work. Correct?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the idea right now.
Okay. And I put a link in the description of this video. I interviewed you for my podcast in 2020, and we talked about your path to financial independence, retire early. And one of, I guess we could call it a criticism that the FIRE movement often gets is that you get folks who are like, yes, I'm going to be financially independent. I'm going to retire early. And people often balk at or always got something to say about the retire early piece. And like, well, how can you be 35, 39, 40 and not work? And you have been retired for what? 4 years now?
4 years.
4
A little bit over
years.
4.5. Yeah.
But you are technically working.
I think I do like what I consider a mix, right? Right? Like I work when I want to and I don't work when I don't want to, which for what we consider working, especially if you're in the US, most people don't have that option. Most people don't have that option until they retire, right? The option to say like, I am going to Senegal for a month and I'm going to learn how to surf from I want Black surfers to teach me how to surf. That's why I'm here, right? And so I had my second day surfing today, and I had plans after surfing, and I canceled them, right? Like this is a trip that has not gone as expected. Like there have been lots of things, but I was like, baby, if I had to answer to anybody else, if I had to clock in on anybody else's schedule, we would have a problem, right? And so it's not just running your own company that gets you this much time freedom. It's also running a company that doesn't require a lot of you because you've decided that, right? I've decided that I'm going to work hard 2 months out of the year. The rest of the year, I'm going to do as little as possible, right? And as little as possible isn't a choice that most people make when they say entrepreneurship. Like in the US and around the world, a lot of places around the world, entrepreneurship has become synonymous with like hustle culture, right?
Sleep
Like
when you're dead.
If you're an entrepreneur and you are not reading 12 self-help books at the same time and 20 business books and listening to the podcast and starting your own podcast and doing all these things, like, what are you doing, right? You're not even in the game. And it's like, or I could just eat snacks on the couch, right? That's my favorite thing to do. Let me eat some snacks on the couch. And so I do work, but not in a traditional sense. There's kind of not a very good term for what I do or what you do, right? Which is like, we work when we want to, as much as we want, and then not.
I still I'm very clumsy when people ask, like, well, what is it I do? And I think people think I'm trying to be evasive, because I had somebody flat out and they were like, is what you do a secret? And it's like, no, it's just that it's it's just that my life is not, work is not the be all and end all of my life. Everything is not scheduled around work. I schedule work around how I'm living my life at that particular time. And I think you retired from practicing the law, but I think we forget, possibly because in the US, the only people who get the privilege to retire are older. And let's be real, by the time you're 65, 70, 75, you don't want to do nothing. You don't want to do anything at all. But I think if we kind of reframe that and we think about, okay, I think FIRE is about changing your relationship with work. Ultimately, nobody really ever says that, but that's in essence what you do, because work becomes optional. You redefine what work means. That's not, I get up and I clock in and I go to this office. It is, I do the work I want. I do the work that matters to me.
Right.
So here you are, 4 years in. Is this what you imagined it would look like?
Because I wasn't planning for FIRE, I never really stopped to take the time to imagine what it looked like. I just know that I hated working for them people, and I was like, I can't do it. I said, by 40, I got to clock out, because I will not. I didn't have a plan for after 40, and I retired right before I turned 39. So I was 38 right before I turned 39. But I was like, these people are not my people. I can't imagine doing the stress. So I didn't really have an imagination, but I also never imagined my life being like this, because it's really hard. We don't live in a culture where work is optional, right? We don't live in a culture where work is optional. We live in a culture where work is never really optional. It's just you've become obsolete, right? Like that's what happens. It's
you've moved from work is a matter of survival to work is a matter of, I need to be able to afford to maintain this lifestyle I have.
Right. But it's never like, even one of the reasons I don't tell people I'm retired is, first of all, why are you asking me what I do?
Because they don't know any better. They don't.
This
is something else. This is something else we got to change. Folks don't know what else to ask, because the last 2 trips I was on, every time somebody asked me what I did, I was like, as little as possible, and they were just a little dumbfounded. Like, I don't know what to do with that information.
So I'm so used to giving a non-answer like that I gave that non-answer to the immigration officer at the Vancouver airport, and she was like, "Baby, don't play with me." And I was like, like the way she looked at me, I was like, "Oh no!" Like you legitimately need to know what I do. I forgot. Like I'm so used to being like, "Don't worry about it," right?
That's why people think I have a secret career.
I will say whatever I want. I told somebody every day, whatever I want. What I do whatever I want. And I don't remember what it was I said to the agent, but the way she looked at me like,
girl, that ain't gonna get it.
Coming in the country, or you just gonna turn around? Like, what are you? I was like, oh, you actually, this is not just conversation. It didn't dawn on me, because we weren't, whatever. But when she looked at me, I was like, oh, my bad. So sometimes I'll answer, like, depending on what's going on. Sometimes I'll be like, lawyer. Just like to check into this hotel, you have to write your occupation on the check-in form. Retired felt like it was just going to be too much. Lawyer is my occupation. What are you doing with this info? I don't know, but the fact that I need to write it down, okay, great.
But no, that's something we got to work on. We have
Yes.
to figure out how to have a conversation with people and ask questions about them. And what do we really want to know about them? What we really want to know, it can't be what they do for a living. I really hope that's not it.
I
So
think it
yeah,
is. It is because it helps people categorize people, right? It helps them figure out if you're of value to them, for some people, if you could be of value to them, how much respect they should give you, right? Like, and especially as Black women, if you're in a place where they don't expect to see a Black woman, or if you're the only one, how you get in here? What you do, right? Like, and it's never like, it's always, someone else asking, what is it that you do that allows, you know what I mean? Like, like,
it's as
all
much
the
that
space.
question as much as the question that they're not asking, which is, how can you be in this place?
How can you afford this? This thing that I can afford, right? This thing, I'm here and I'm supposed to be here. Whether that is through like prestige or money or whatever it is, like I'm here. But and I don't need to explain how I got here because it's obvious, But like, how'd you get here? Why do you deserve it? And I'm like, okay. That's when I don't answer the question. Like, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? Because at the end of the day, like, money talks in the sense that if I'm in the space that you're in, I deserve to be here, regardless of how I got here, right? Like if I'm flying first class, hey woes, and if I don't know, work in a cafeteria and I have to save every dollar I've gotten over the past 20 years to pay for it, I still pay for it. What does it matter for, like, what is it, like,
But you know what it matters, that
I know it
unspoken
because
thing of you, brown girl, are not supposed to
no,
be here,
you're not supposed to be here.
regardless of how much money you have. Money is not supposed to buy you access to this the way it bought me
Be access,
access to
which is
this.
exactly because y'all not special. There's a whole lot of y'all not special, right? You're not in the sense that like, oh look, another white person with money. Oh, who could imagine, right? Like and there's a lot of people in coach who have money, right? You're not particularly, this does not make you this experience does not make you a special person. And I shouldn't have to show you that I'm a special person to be in this club. I'm here. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. So yeah, that question, I'm always evasive because it doesn't matter and I don't want you to try to categorize me the way you're trying to categorize me. And it's a difficult question to answer because people love to be like, especially like fire people who started to talk about fire, people who are super invested in the fire movement and people who are fire haters will be like, you're not retired. Like,
Yes, they take
um,
personal offense to that.
calm
It's
down.
wild.
Calm down. When CNBC did a story about me last year, I had a video about how I retired on my She Just on the Loose channel. And people showed up like, you're making money from YouTube. At that point, I was making like $200 a month. You think I can support my retired life or less? Probably like 150, right? Less than $200 a month. You think, yes, I'm making money on YouTube, but you're
That
not
ain't
really
paying for
retired.
this.
You're making money on YouTube. I can buy peanuts and popcorn with this money I'm making on YouTube. Like, what are you? And why does it offend you? Why?
That's the really interesting question, is why they are so invested in that you not, like, you absolutely don't work. And because again, yeah, you were making money on YouTube, but you were not clocking in at somebody's job every day. Like,
Offensive to them. How dare you? And I'm like,
and maybe that's what it is. Freedom is offensive to them.
and it's also, let's be real, Black women being free offends everybody.
Everybody.
Everybody hates it. Black
Yes.
women being free, Black women being seen as actual humans offends everybody, right? Like, let's take a little quick break. A Black woman being a victim of a crime and actually people going after the perpetrator of the offense. How dare you? She got shot in her foot. Megan got shot in her foot, right? Like, but it's just a Black woman. Like, how it's not even like people are going rabid over this, and it's not even like anybody cares about that little half singing ass man. Nobody cares about him.
No, it's about
the
she needs to be
idea,
punished.
the idea that one, she is a Black woman, a sexual Black woman, right? She shouldn't be allowed to have the humanity that brings justice, right? And if you're going to go after people who wrong Black women, the whole world might collapse, right? Like, because, right, people are so used to us not mattering that when we show up being authentic and when we show up being free, it's actually offensive to them. You know, the photo Adelia used on this cover, on a thumbnail for this video, is from when we were at the place where the bee flew into my drink at the bar, and the bar was like, well, drink it. Here's a straw, drink around the bee. And I talked about it in another video, and my social media lady put a clip of it as a reel. I didn't even know she put a clip on it as a reel, but I woke up one day and I had all these comments going on. And it was a whole bunch of people telling me that I was wrong for not wanting to drink around an insect. Like,
How dare you? How dare you?
How dare I? And it was like, why does it offend you that I have standards? Why does it offend you that I don't want to drink around insects? Why are you going out of your way on this beautiful day to tell me that I think too much of myself?
Yep.
Why? What's the reason? People, but that comes back to the same thing. Anywhere you are on the internet and you're free and you're happy, someone's going to show up talking about why it's wrong, why it's fake, why it's wrong, why you don't deserve, why you're a liar. All right? Okay. All right. It's why I make sure that my circles are very Black woman centered, because y'all get it. Y'all get it. Everybody else, I don't care if you get it or not. So.
You mentioned that both of us actually ended up fire, and there are a multitude of ways to fire. There's fat fire, there's lean fire, there's barista fire, there's coast fire. We both ended up here by accident. Did you ever think, like, because you knew you did not want to work for those people, and if you want to know more about the shenanigans she had to put up with, definitely check out the podcast that is linked in the description, because lots of details about that portion of Rashida's life. But you knew you didn't want to work for them. Did the idea of starting your own business, was that even in the realm of possibility for you?
No.
See, I'd say the same. That was not my plan.
It wasn't that I just knew I didn't want to work for other people. I didn't want to have a job after 40. That was the idea. No job after 40. Stop it. Go away. But I didn't have any plans for after 40. It was just like, just not working, right? Because I think I made that I don't want to work after 40. I probably made that in my early 30s. Early 30s. I was like, we need a date. We need an exit. And I wrote it on my calendar. I forgot about it. And then it popped up on my 40th birthday. I was like, on my Google Calendar. I was like, oh, I forgot about this, but okay. It was like last day at corporate gig was what it said or something like that. And I was like, yeah, well,
Look at that.
look at that. Beat it by a year. But yeah, it wasn't like I was like, okay, and this is why, I'll tell you, this is why I think it's more accessible to people than they think it is. It's because I didn't have a plan. I wasn't like, okay, this is my date and this is how I'm going to work backwards from there. I was just like, hide some money from yourself, right? Every pay period, hide some money from yourself, invest it somewhere, save it somewhere, every pay period, do that, right? And I did that. And then when I looked at the money, I was like, the money is money. Okay, stock market, right? And I think that if I had been intentional and I said, I want to have this amount of money by this date, now for me, that would have caused more stress and tension, right? Because now I feel like I have performance standards, right? Like I have goals I need to hit. And in order to do that, I would have been like breaking it up. So having that on my calendar and forgetting about it was a perfect thing for me as a human, right? Like I set up something automatic in my brain, put money aside, put money aside, put money aside. But like if I had an exact amount, that would have been too much for me. But I think for the right person, that's a really great strategy to like backdate it and say, okay, this year I'm saving this much money. Next year I'm saving this much money, so that you know how much money you have to play with. I think that's a perfect way to go. And I think it also makes it a lot more accessible to people than they think. And I also think that like coming up with a FIRE number that's reasonable for you and it's not based in fear is another good choice.
That's a tall order. Because the amount of money that people think they need. And then when because for those of you who are not familiar, your FIRE number, this is supposedly the amount of money that you have in your portfolio that if you were to pull, let's say 4%, give or take, adjusted for inflation, you should not run out of money. But arriving at that number, you need to understand what your expenses are likely to be. And people, I guess, anticipate like buying private jets and, living on the moon as part of their FIRE journey. And when I've asked people like, you've got this number, how did you arrive at that number? What is this number based on? Fear. There's a whole lot of fear in there instead of, and this is not everybody, instead of looking at, well, okay, so how much is it going to cost me? Because that's why I'm sitting here talking to y'all now and not at somebody's job, is because I looked around and was like, if I don't live in the US, I can afford me. I can afford to live.
Right? If I don't live in the US, this healthcare isn't going to be the issue, but it is when I'm in the US. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I think the other thing that happens is that people get caught up in the number and they get caught up in why it can't happen for them or why it's not going to work for other people. That's the other thing that happened when people started. My video kind of went viral. I got to start owning things. My video went viral. And when that happens, own things. There was a lot of like, well, you're going to run out of money. And I've been broke before.
Okay, wait. Let's stop right there, because the audacity it takes to insert yourself in somebody else's financial situation and say, you're going to run out of money. Because here's the thing, even if that were the case, that's not my place to tell you. Just because you think something in your head doesn't mean you need to share it with anybody.
No. So we're gonna run out of money, and there's something else that it came up a lot, and it was like, one was you're going to deplete yourself. Oh, the other thing was, I would never do that. I'd be so bored. Like not going to work would be I couldn't imagine retiring early. I'd be so bored. Because you're boring. Because you're boring. Thanks. If your personality, and this is a very specific type of person, just these are the type of people who are like, we need to be back in the office, right?
Yes,
They don't want to
yes,
be home
it's
because
those
they don't
people.
like their family life. It's those people who are like, it's time for us all to return because I am a workplace bully and I haven't had a chance to be an asshole to anybody today because my wife won't take my shit anymore, right? Like those are the people who are like, I couldn't imagine retiring. I'd be bored. And it's like,
Okay,
you
don't
can,
keep
like,
working. Keep working till you're 85. I don't care.
you would rather, like, I'm not going to argue with you because I literally don't. I didn't know you were alive 30 seconds ago, right? I still don't know. You could be a bot for all I know. I don't care what you think. But it's the idea that like you would rather work another 30 years than spend 30 years doing whatever you want, whenever you want. Okay, that's a choice. It sounds terrible to me, but I'm not going to show up on your channel, which you don't have because you're afraid to talk about or you have nothing to talk about, whatever. Your channel that you don't have, giving you my opinion on your life because you don't know me and why would you care? See how that goes both ways? So yeah, so there's you'd run out of money and I'd be bored. And I'm like, you're making excuses about why I'm going to fail so that you don't have to try. You're making excuses that say I can't do it because if I can do it, then why can't you? Right? And this is not, I'm not one of those like, everybody can do it people, right? Because there are legitimate things standing in people's way. But telling me that I'm going to run out of money is a mindset thing for you, not for me. Telling me you would be, it must be so boring. If you're boring.
Keep being bored.
Right? Like, people don't like hanging out with you, huh? Right? Like if you see someone being free and your first thought is, ew, I'd be bored.
Well, this goes back to what we were saying before. Folks don't like it when people can't neatly fit into a box for them to assign them a value and a place in their hierarchy, and they do not like seeing free women, in particular free Black women, because I find it very doubtful that a man in your situation would receive comments about, oh, I'd be bored, you're gonna run out. No, they would be patting him on the back and asking for the secret sauce of how he did it.
I'm like, you think I could never, what are you gonna do for the rest of your life?
Anything you want. That's the whole that is literally the whole point of fire.
Y'all like going to work every day? Like, really? This is what you want to do for the rest of your life? Is clock into a job? Okay. All right.
Something that occurred to me today. I don't know if this is solely a US cultural thing, but it's like we're all supposed to be competing in the struggle Olympics. And those with the greater struggle who have worked to overcome, like that's how you win. And I do not want to play that game. I don't want any part of that. So because you labored hard for very little pay, like doesn't make you better than somebody. It doesn't earn you extra points. And I'm not going to aspire to that.
That was something else that came up. A lot of people have been working a lot longer than you have, Missy. Okay, well, let me give him some money. Like what? I don't know what you want me to say. Oh, yes. A lot of people have been working a lot longer than I have. I would like them to stop working too, but I don't run their lives. Like I don't. It felt very much like, how dare you? I've been in my job for 30 years and I'm not retired, so how dare you retire?
It must be nice.
It must be nice.
It's the must be nice of it all.
It must be nice. Yeah, but like that kind of, those are the things. And if they come from strangers, they'll come from friends. These comments will come from well-meaning friends. When that hate starts to bubble up, it starts to shift. I think after when I took my career break, I took a year of traveling around the world. I heard "must be nice" so many times that I don't think I've ever said it again. I think that I think people don't know what it sounds like until they hear it over and over and over again, and they begin to recognize what that really means. I don't think I've ever said "must be nice" to anyone about anything in my life again since 2019, or maybe
It's
2008, when I first heard it.
it's disingenuous to begin with, and it's coming from a place of, I'm mad that you have this thing, you have this success, you have this experience. It's not a good thing.
Or, aren't you lucky? Did I win the lottery? That's not what happened here. That's not right. Most people who retire early aren't doing it through luck. Most people who are financially independent aren't doing it through luck. There's lots of ways to get a leg up, right? There's lots of people. We're all starting at different positions, right? So it's not even. I'm not saying it's even playing field. It is not, right? But luck.
I know one of the criticisms you got was that you were in a fairly high paying career,
Mm-hmm.
but I was not. And so for somebody who's watching this thinking, well, yeah, Rashida was a lawyer. Y'all, I was not. I made peanuts and ice water. Okay. I barely had 2 nickels to rub together, but yet here I am. So it's, I don't know. It irritates me that people come at it from that angle,
Mm-hmm.
because yes, you were able to save a whole lot more money than me. And in some ways, I would say maybe easier because you didn't have a husband with a shopping problem, or
I had my own
kids.
shopping problem though too. So let's.
Okay.
Oh,
So
wait. Adelia is coming to my storage unit. I've made her promise that she's not going to talk shit about
I'm
me.
not gonna talk shit about you.
She's going to talk shit about maybe not
I
on the
am
internet,
not.
not to y'all, but to me, when she sees, she's going to talk
No,
shit.
because I already know how this is gonna go. I am not going to say anything, but I'm sure my face may say something. And you'll be like, see? And it's
I
like,
told you.
I because we've already talked about on this channel how I'm not the person to ask a direct question if you don't want the answer, because whatever the answer is, that's what's gonna come out my mouth. But no. So yeah, this idea that like you said, there are situations and issues that can prevent folks from, realizing all of the financial dreams that they might have. But for something like financial independence, right now on the screen, you're looking at 2 women who went about it in very, very different ways, but still arrived at the same place, which is work is not the center of their lives. They get to choose when and how and the kind of work that they do, and if they do work.
Mm-hmm.
And
I also think that creating a life where work wasn't the center of my life has brought money to me in ways that money didn't flow to me before. Right? Saying that money is a tool. See it in the comments. Money is a tool, and money is an important tool, but money's not everything. And I'm not going to center my life around money. I think there were definitely parts of my life before that were centered around money, whether I was making money or spending money or whatever. And being at a place now where it's not the center has allowed more money to flow to me, right? Not more than when it was centered, right? But more like this, you know, like I'm making money without a job in ways and in avenues that, like, you know, Adele's
You-
gonna pay me for this conversation I need to, but she's not. But like stuff like, you know,
yeah, no,
can I get a commitment to that?
no, I was,
Try.
I was going
I
to
try.
say that a lot of people, when they think about, you know, leaving a career that they've had for decades or making some abrupt change to their lives, they get consumed with, how will I have enough money? And when you can let go of that, you find that you're getting money in ways you hadn't even considered were possible before. Like, you know, the universe tends to unfold as it should.
Yes, like
I don't know
Adele's
how else
paying
to
me
say it.
for my appearance on her channel.
I will pay you. I will pay you
In peanuts and ice water.
in I was trying to think of a food that you could actually eat, but I don't know if such a thing exists. Okay. There was something else I wanted to ask you about. Okay. So, can we talk about investing a little bit?
Sure.
Because a big part of why you are able to live the life that you live and why I can live the life that I live is because of investing. How would you describe yourself as an investor?
I am a lazy investor. I'm as inactive as possible, and I am as uneducated as possible.
Were you always a lazy investor, even before this part of your life started?
Yes. Yes. Okay, so I opened my first investment account at Vanguard because when I asked my mom about investing money, she was like, I have a Vanguard account. And I was like, what does that mean? She was like, go to vanguard.com, www.vanguard.com. Go to open an account. I was like, what do I put it in? She was like, this is what I have it in. And I was like, okay. All right. Now, since then, when I say lazy and uneducated, what I mean is that there are people on the internet who are going to tell you that you should be researching for hours a day, a week, all the time about where to put your money. I'm not doing all that. I can't and I won't. I'm not doing all that. Right? Like, I am a set it and forget it person. I put the money in a place and just let it do its thing. Its thing has not been of very dynamic in the past few years. We know, right? The market's coming back. It's going to come back. But I'm very much for like, put it aside, let it go. I'm going to maybe spend, I'm almost entirely invested in mutual funds. When I feel like it's time for me to reallocate, not on a set schedule, just whenever I feel like it, which is not like once a month or even once a year. It's probably like once every couple of years. You know, people are out there dibbling and dabbling.
I know. And I'm like, I want to spend my time doing other things.
I'm going to make a video about this one on the new channel, Rashida Doe, about how I pick them. But I set some things up, look at some things, look at some numbers, compare, and done. I've selected. If in the stock market, if it's the right choice, I'm gonna make a lot of money. If it's the wrong choice, I'm gonna make some money. Right? Like, that's my attitude. It's like, I am a long-term investor, so I'm going to make money. Am I going to maximize, if with my method, am I going to maximize every single penny I could get out of every single move in the market? No, but I ain't got time for all that. I don't want to spend, I want to be as lazy as possible.
Because you can try to do that, but it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you time. And that's not something I'm willing to pay.
going to cost you fees. It's going to cost you a whole bunch of stuff. And I'm just not, let me just park this money somewhere. When I got to make a move, I'll make a move. But until then, just do it.
Okay. And okay. So I remember you made a video about how much money you lost
Mm-hmm.
um, from the beginning of 2022, because unless you've been under a rock, you know that the US stock market has
Uh-huh.
has kind of hemmed and hawed a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Have you done anything different? Have you adjusted your strategy, if we can call it that?
No, I didn't adjust it then. I haven't touched anything. I was actually just going to see if I can tell you right now how much I've lost since beginning of 2022. I think the number's smaller. I think we've gained back some money. So let me see if I can do this. Hold up.
Okay.
Hold up. Oh, keep talking. Keep talking.
Okay. Because you got to do, because no, what you're having to do, two-factor authentication. Okay. Because that was one of the things I was going to talk about. Eventually is, like when you travel a lot, when you live abroad, if y'all are thinking about bopping around or anything like that, one of the things money related that you need to think about is accessing your accounts. And I know two-factor authentication is a pain in the ass. It's even more so a pain in the ass when you are trying to do it and you are outside the US and maybe you don't have a US phone number, or you're like me, you keep your US phone number turned off except for when you're traveling. But I'm taking this moment to encourage you to turn it on, because one of the financial groups I'm in, a woman posted like how somebody was trying to clean out her retirement accounts and her investing accounts because they somehow got in. But if you've at least got two-factor authentication on, that would be one more level of protection, because I can't have nobody taking it. Literally, they would be taking all of my money in the whole world, and I can't have that. All right, so here is Rashida's new channel, Rashida Dough, because she's talking all about dough, how to make it, how to get it, how to keep it, how to feel about it, all of that.
And I'm going to be talking about how I pick my like my lazy girl method to picking investments, what I invest in, because I think, okay, so I talk about that in the video that I'm probably going to release later today on that channel. We talk about like money habits that I wish I'd started sooner is my newest video that'll be coming out probably today if I can get to editing. But I think one of the things that gets in people's way is they feel like they don't have enough information to do the thing, right? And what they're hearing from a lot of people is you need to be up on
all of the information,
all of this information before you make a move. Because if you don't, your move could not be the absolute best move in the world. And because of that, they're not making a move for years. But let me tell you something. I'm gonna give you some numbers, which I hardly ever do on the internet, but I'm gonna do this right now. Year to date, I'm down $226,000.
That's less than the 297 you asked me for.
I knew it was lower. I didn't know what it was. I knew it was lower. Over the last 10 years, including this 226 that I'm down right now, including that 226, I am up $303,000. So I have over $300,000 just from being in the stock market over a long time, including taking into account the 226 that I'm down this year. So I was up, not last year, 2 years ago. I was up
a lot.
Last year either. I was up like 500, right? Like,
so,
and that's why I think making moves that are educated enough is the right choice, right? You don't have to know everything. If you wait to know everything, you'll know nothing.
And there was something you said about like making that move, getting the jump. And I saw that there was, I assume that is what Marcy's question was about. I host a 6-day Get Started Investing Challenge. The next one is next month in January. If you want to be on the wait list, let's see, do I have a link here?
I
Because I
thought you
did
already
not.
sold that one out. You didn't.
No, there's wait list. Get on the wait list because there's a email coming out next week. If I can remember to do some work. Okay.
Are you letting them get in at this year's price?
Yes, yes. If they are on the wait list, they will be offered this year's price. The people who sign up in January will get 2023's price, one of 2023's price.
The people who come in 2023 ain't gonna have a spot to get the price because I know it's gonna sell out with the people who are already waiting for it. So
I'm pretty sure there is a link in the description. I'm pretty sure there is, but it's called Get Started Investing. And that is one of the big ideas behind that challenge is people get caught up in thinking, I've got to know all the things, I've got to have all the money. And let me tell you, neither of those is true. Neither of those.
Let's see. I don't know if I can do it here because I'm on my phone because my 2-factor authentication isn't working for some reason. I don't know. But I think that when I first started investing, I think it was 2000 and would it have been 11? It's about 10 years. It's about 10 years. So it might have been 2011 or 2010. And I started with like $1,000. I opened an account with like $1,000.
And you don't even need that. That back then, you might have needed something like that. Now you can get in, we can talk about $5. I'll get you started. And I'm not talking some scammy app. I'm just talking legitimate investing. You do not need to have a lot of money. Not at all.
Yeah.
So y'all heard it from her. She is a lazy investor. She has not done anything different. Because I had a client the other week, we talked about that. And there's a lot of folks who are afraid to lose money. And I understand that. We work hard for our money. But, the way people act when the stock market is not performing the way they want, they don't act that way with anything else. If you saw the property value of your house declining, is that when you would decide to sell your house? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You'd be like, nope, I'm gonna wait this out. And hopefully the value would go up. But when it comes to the stock market, people do dumb shit. It's a psychological thing. I wish more people talked about that. So maybe I gotta be that person. I don't know.
I think you gotta be that person. All right, give me 1 second.
Okay.
I'm gonna pop off. You do your thing. I'm gonna.
Okay. All right. So I have a couple of more questions for Rashida about money. But if y'all have your own questions, drop those in the chat. I'm saving those and we will come back to them to answer. I saw this question, F Doctor. Can we please break down maximalist versus minimum? I can't talk, y'all, and I've not had anything to drink yet today. Minimalist. Both are about quality. It's just the quantity may differ. I think Rashida describes herself as a maximalist. She loves things. I do not love things, but you are correct. We both care about the quality. Like I think it is a lot of people have a misconception about minimalism and that minimalists are super, super frugal. Some are, but it's not a requirement. But really what's important with minimalism is that you own things that you love. So for instance, for New Year's Eve, I am wearing a one of a kind designer dress. I did not make it. Somebody else did. That I spent what I think is a ridiculous amount of money on. Okay, for me. But it is like a Black designer. I know the story behind where the fabric was from. I know that the ladies or the people who sewed it, were paid a fair wage. So all of those are things that matter to me. So for something like that, I will pay more for. So I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that minimalists are like cheap in their desire not to have a lot of stuff. But I do not like lots of things. Rashida likes things, but she likes really nice things. I like nice things, but fewer of them. I will say, I would like to have one. And Rashida might be like, but it comes in 8 colors.
Right?
And why not?
Colors?
Why not have all 8?
Maybe not all 8. There's gonna be one of those colors I don't like, but like 3. What about 3? Can we do 3 colors? So the earrings but you have 2 pairs of those earrings.
I have these, and then I have the hoops where it's just the bottom piece, where it's
so we both have
black
2
and
pairs
silver
of earrings from the same person. So I don't know. It feels like we're a lot closer.
But like F Doctor said, quality is important to both of us. But
yes.
I am much more of I can't have all of these things. If okay, here's I think the big difference. If I'm not positive that I will use it, I won't own it. And for you, owning it might be more important than using
owning it is using it.
See, so that's, I think, the other big difference there.
Which is also why one of my goals or one of the things I'm doing since I think the last 4 months of the year and into next year is not buying any clothes, any shoes, any makeup,
from a store. Because I know you got plans to get stuff made. And I would agree with you that doesn't really count. That doesn't count in the same way.
I'm being attacked. Y'all see how she's attacking me with facts and truth? And she thinks she's going to come to my storage unit and not be judgmental.
I am not. Right? I am not. I understand. I understand.
You don't understand.
Yes, I am very kind and caring and empathetic. Now, do I have control over my default is honesty. And sometimes people ask you questions, but they don't want honesty. And that sometimes is a problem. But I will approach this with the empathy and the kindness that is a hallmark of mine. Trust.
Who told you empathy and kindness is a hallmark? Who?
Oh my gosh, it is. It exudes from me. That is
baby girl.
I say mean, ugly stuff, but I generally don't say that to people's face.
You say it to my face all the time.
But you be asking me. Don't ask questions.
No, I don't.
But you think honesty is being mean to you.
No, I think you're mean to me and you call it honesty.
I guess we're going to agree to disagree on that.
We're going to have a third party intervene in this one.
Okay. Yes, I am stateside freezing my behind off while Rashida is boycotting winter in warm tropical Dakar. I am freezing. And I had to buy sweaters. I literally had to order sweaters and have them delivered here because I own, prior to this trip, 1 sweater. And that it's going to be like negative something tomorrow. So I obviously didn't have the right clothes.
One
So
sweater?
yeah. You
Think
remember
about the
you
sweater.
helped me pick the color of that sweater because I was like, I need to buy a sweater because I don't have any.
Think of all the sweaters who just need a nice home. And like, how dare you leave them out
I've
there?
not lived places that I needed sweaters.
You need a
And
sweater
now
in
that
Mexico City.
I know that's what I'm finding. Because remember, I moved back, pandemic, I stayed in the house. I
Okay.
only went outside to walk the dog. Okay.
All right.
So, okay, I asked them to give me some questions, and I see y'all's questions, and I'm marking those. And we're going to come back to them. All right. Okay, I like this question. I don't think she can answer it, but I like this question. I think it's what's your favorite thing you own?
Yes. I think there have to be categories for that, right? I have a piece of art. The reason I have storage is I have an original piece of art from my favorite artist in the world, Amina Robinson, and that's in storage, right? And that's the reason I've been paying a lot of money every month for storage, was because I couldn't just take that with me. That's one of my favorite things I own. Also, I think a lot of but my favorite things are things I haven't seen in 4 or 5 years. So going through them should be interesting.
And I have pushed for this because, again, my philosophy is if you own it and you love it, you should be able to enjoy it. You should be able to use it. You should be able to see it.
But there's a good chance I'm gonna go back to Mexico and this stuff is gonna go back into storage again.
I know.
If my landlord starts BS, okay, y'all. So Adelia sent me a ad, like a listing the other day for an apartment in a building that is in the same complex as mine. It's an older building than my building. It's not as nice.
But it's not much older, like maybe 3 years older than your building.
Yeah, but like they don't have floor to ceiling windows. They don't have balconies. It's not as nice. Imagine getting picked up on that corner in an Uber. You know the corner?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. It's not as nice. And it was a studio apartment, and the price for the apartment.
Wait. But it was a studio apartment where you had to walk through the bedroom to get to the kitchen living. You know, like some studios, the bedroom is at the back and the living space, the public space is up front. This one, you had to walk from the front door opened into the bed space. And then there was a half wall that then separated from the living space.
It was $200 less a month in rent than mine. I think it's $300 less a month than mine. And I'm like, and I have a 2-bedroom in a much nicer building, same basic location. I'm like, if my landlord comes, I've already said this. If my like last year, she was like, let's raise the rent. And I was like, let's not. And she was like, okay, can we meet in the middle? And I was like, you know what? Okay, fine. Because it was like a $37 rent increase. If she comes again, and this is a more complicated conversation, I'm in the streets. I'm in the streets next year. And so I'm doing all of this work to clear out my storage, knowing that like,
I would hope that storage in Mexico is cheaper.
I would hope so too. I would hope so. Is it trustworthy?
You can leave the important things with me if it comes to that.
We'll see what happens. But so you're trying to get my stuff.
Well, I have already called dibs on your couch. So
She did. Oh my God, I forgot about that. Did I yet? No, I'm hoping my landlord is like, girl, you know you've been a great tenant. It's 2+ years. Whatever you want, it's yours. Adelia was like, randomly on we hadn't talked about it. I hadn't heard from her in hours. She was like, if you move, I'm getting your couch.
I was like, I'm just calling dibs now. Like that way, think about the weight I'm lifting from you. You don't have to think, am I going to store this? Am I going to sell this? you already know where it could go, assuming I can get my sofa out of my apartment, which still remains to be seen.
Yours came through your window?
It came over the side of the building.
Balcony. Okay, so
Yeah.
in your bed. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I said, why would not even like I would miss you. She was like,
well, that's a given.
no, it was
That's
like
a given.
FYI, I'm coming for your couch. And I was like, I don't actually want to move. What's happening?
Well, no, this is worst case scenario. I just believe in covering all your bases, and folks don't know how to take that, I guess. That's all. I guess.
I also thought about asking her if she really demands an increase in rent and trying to figure out a situation where we could put it on Airbnb. So like I might not be there for 6 months, and for those 6 months rent it out. Put some of my like more valuable stuff in storage, leave some stuff in the house, and then rent it out.
Does your current lease allow for Airbnb?
No.
Because mine does not.
I don't think the building allows for Airbnbs, but there's a ton of them in there.
I was about to say there are quite a few Airbnbs over there. I've
stayed in an Airbnb in there. Her cousin ran an Airbnb out of there, not out of my unit, but out of my building. So it's possible, people do it all the time. So that's my idea is like, yeah, I'll pay and stay here maybe 2 months at a time, whatever, put some stuff in storage, but I'm not trying to pay you full rent. So hopefully that's an easy conversation this year.
Okay. Let's see.
Oh, okay. So I see someone saying go for the cheaper place now and be done. Do I need to use 2 bedrooms? Baby, I want more bedrooms.
Okay, did y'all miss the part about her being a maximalist? I am the one who's sitting here thinking, I really don't want to have this second bedroom set. I'm thinking about like, who can I sell that to?
Right. But it's not because you want less room. You're not saying I don't need a second bedroom. You're saying you don't want a guest bedroom.
Yes. I would, if the price was commiserate, I would prefer a 1 bedroom. However, it doesn't make sense financially to have a 1 bedroom, so 2 bedroom it is. But yeah, no, y'all, she's a maximalist.
No. I really enjoy having space. When I'm in smaller spaces, I feel kind of like cooped up. And so I like having space. So yeah, I was looking for a 3rd bedroom. When I was looking for places last year, I was looking for 3 bedrooms.
I saw one. This person, I guess it was an Airbnb, but there's construction nearby, and I'm thinking that's hurting the Airbnb. So
the one in Condesa with the
for 51,000 pesos. I was like, dude. 51,000 pesos.
Was that in the comments? Because it wasn't in the post.
It wasn't in the original post. I think they made an additional one, and basically all of the responses were just laughing at the price.
Yeah, I saw it and I was like, I already know y'all trying to play people. I already know this is not for me. It's for people who don't know. No, thank you. No, thank you. Yes.
What kinds of things do you splurge on?
Food, shoes. Okay, I like nice things, and I don't know. I'll be right back. Hopefully, it's take me out of here. Poor phone.
Okay. Speaking of that, no, 51,000 pesos. So 20,000 pesos is about $1,000. So y'all don't make me do math on the internet. Just know that that's multiple thousands of dollars and at least twice the price they should probably be asking for this place. But the way they worded the post, it was like, oh, this great opportunity that they were giving people. It's wild. for rent in Mexico City, and I you ever you forget about like inflation. When I'm thinking about what rents should be in Mexico City, so I'm thinking about what they were in 2017 and 2018, before Mexico City was this hot spot for digital nomads and all of that. Um, there's no way in hell they would be asking that kind of money for that place. But there are folks with a lot of money to throw around who are paying some of those crazy prices. And this is why I sent Rashida the place that I knew was near her apartment and what they were asking for what you got, because like, I know people are paying crazy amounts of money, but it still blows my mind when I see uh, these listings. Okay. So, yeah. So, you were saying you splurge on food, shoes, and you
I
really
feel like
like nice things.
I don't feel like shoes is a good. I splurge anything I buy, I will splurge on. I think that's the best way to put it. Anything I buy, I will splurge on. I don't need to buy everything, right? But anything I buy, I will splurge on. Anything. If I can own it, it should be nice. And nice means different things to different people. Like I like, don't judge me for this. I like animal skins in the sense that like I
I
like
mean,
leather.
we see, and you like animal prints as well.
I like
We see
leather.
what you
I
have
like
on.
fur. I like the way it feels, right? And so these are things that Adelia will see in storage. Like big, like cowhide rugs. Like these are things I splurge on because I like them. I like a very tactile person. If I like the way it feels,
I
it's
don't,
for me.
yes, I was going to say, I don't know that there's anything that there are some people who are like, there's only one category of spending
Yeah.
in which they will spend more money. And you're saying, no, I'll spend it
No.
in all of them. Okay.
It's like
Go ahead.
if it if I have to choose, if my options are things that make sense, right? Like it's not like I own designer bags, but I don't only buy designer bags, and I don't buy designer bags to own designer bags. I buy them if it's like I need a bag for this purpose. This is the bag I like for this purpose. Not like, oh, Chanel has a new bag, I must get this bag. It's not what it's like, right? It's like I need this bag and this fits that thing, right?
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, it's weird. I'm a very feely person. Like the things, and a lot of times more expensive things feel nicer.
Funny how that works. Funny.
Whatever they're doing to it. I don't know.
Thank you, Yami Couture Crochet, for the super sticker. Maybe that is. I'm not sure. It doesn't tell me here. And then there was another one. Tracy Alive also sent a super sticker. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, let's see. I don't know if what will I splurge on? It depends. It depends. If it's something that is sourced or helps people in such a way, like I'll spend more on a travel experience where I know the money is going to local people. If I am buying artisan made things,
Yeah.
I will spend money that I would normally think is insane to spend, but because I know my money's doing some good. So, uh, let's see. There was another question in here. Um, okay, high vibe. I don't know if you heard And I assume this question is for Rashida. She is actually getting ready to put out a video about her lazy girl stock selection process on her other channel, Rashida Doe. I I have the idea for this video. I haven't made it, but I've told myself with all of this downtime I'm having, I'm gonna make some videos. But working with a financial planner and that sort of thing. I feel like I've talked about this somewhere. I know I talk about it in the challenge, but I feel like I've got a video coming out about that. So, okay. All right. Okay.
All right.
Here's another question for you.
Yes.
What is the worst money advice you received?
Easy, 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 easy. I saw someone ask about a financial planner. Some of them are very wise, helpful people who want you to make the best decisions for yourself. And some of them just trying to get your money, right? Like everything else in life. And I met with one who was working for Ameriprise, and she was just trying to get my money, and I didn't know any better. And she was like, what she said to me was, nobody ever pays off student loan debt. So don't worry about getting out of debt. Just invest your money with me. And you asked what's the worst advice I ever got. I'm not saying that's bad advice. I'm saying that's bad advice for who I am as a person, because debt makes me very uncomfortable. I don't function well with debt. So we had this conversation. I was live the other day? No? Yes? I don't know. Sometime recently I talked about how it was my group coaching. In my group coaching program, we talked about this on Saturday. How I didn't function well when my house is unclean. I feel like I need to clean first. When I have debt, my money's just in chaos. I cannot control the chaos when there's debt, right? I need to be focused on paying off the debt, or I will not meet any other goal. If the debt is there, it does not sit well with my soul. I'm not meant, I do not like debt. And so, like I'm saying, that wasn't necessarily terrible advice for someone else, but she didn't
listen.
never talked about my relationship. No, she never asked questions. She didn't, you know what I mean? Like,
that's the red flag.
She would have tried to have found out about these things, and she didn't. She was like, this is a great investment plan for you. And not knowing any better, I was like, sure, okay, why not?
So no, like when I have clients, because a question I get a lot is, like, should I pay down my debt? Should I invest? Well, one, you can do both. But I then want to know, well, how do you feel about the debt? Because a big portion of being successful financially is psychological.
Mm-hmm.
While there is some credence to that argument of just carry the student loan debt, but invest, if that's going to make you crazy, then that is not the right move. Yeah. Regardless of how much money theoretically you could have made by investing with this person. If that was going to make you struggle mentally, it was going to make you uncomfortable, then that's not the right move.
And the investment she put me in had high fees and low returns. So
of course, because nobody in the financial services businesses does anything out of the kindness of their heart. They are trying to make a buck, and that is something you should all remember. Okay. Did anybody give you any really good financial advice?
I'm sure, but nothing's coming to mind right now.
Okay. All right.
Still on that one for a while.
All right. Is there anything that you're cheap about?
In a lot of ways, I try to figure something out when the easier option would be to pay someone to do it. I don't know if that's cheap or stubborn, right? Both. Why not both? Things I'm cheap about. I'm cheap about things that shouldn't cost what they cost, right? Like right now, like
But see,
Uber.
is that being cheap or is that understanding that prices are inflated?
Right.
Because
Like if
we
I
were,
see inflated prices, I'm like, I will be taking a significant, like people who visit Mexico City now are like, oh, your Ubers are so cheap. And I'm like, actually,
no, they are not.
they're 3 to 4 times the price they were 2 years ago. So these are not inexpensive Ubers, right? Like these are not. And it's like, $2 to get to where I want to go. But every single time I'm like, $2, this should be 75 cents. Or this used to be 75 cents.
Yes. Yes.
And if the driver was getting the larger part of the increased fare, I'd be like, okay, but are they? I don't think so.
No, they're not. My friend that I'm visiting said something about walking and like, oh, you walk so much. And I was like, where's she getting this idea? But when she came to Mexico City, I, like you, were like, these Uber prices are ridiculous. We can just walk.
We can just now. If I walk 20 minutes and get to the bus stop and wait an hour, the bus will take me to the other stop, and then I don't know where the connection to the other bus is, but I'll figure it out. Meanwhile, and that's probably on like a $6 Uber day. If Uber is hitting $6, I'm like, what are our other options? What are we doing? Because I have never seen these prices. These prices. What's happening?
Yes.
Salty.
Okay. All right. I like this question too. What was the biggest lie you were told about finances?
I think it's a community lie, and that is finances are difficult to manage. I would say the second one that's a community lie is that your credit score is everything.
I have big issue with that. For me, is that all you have to do is save. You got to invest in something.
Yeah.
Because saving alone is not going to do it.
No. For me, the credit score thing gets to me because I see so many people focus on like improving their credit score, like doing things to improve their credit score, and people paying people to improve their credit score, to do things, to challenge things, to do whatever, without actually doing things to improve their finances, right? Like you can get this thing removed from your credit score, but if you're not saving money for your next emergency, your credit score going right back to where it was before, baby. Like what's happening?
Yeah.
What?
Paying
And I say someone
somebody
who's have
to
a really, really bad credit score.
paying somebody to fix your credit. I have very strong feelings, and they are not positive about that. Very strong feelings.
You've got to change the underlying issue. And sometimes the underlying issue isn't something you've done, right?
No.
But you may be able to, if you change your habits, you may be able to change the way you can respond to the next thing that might impact your credit score, right? Like if you're not always paying off your debt on time now, like if part of your problem is like back in the day, part of my problem was that I would shop and not paying attention to what I was buying, and also not paying any attention to the dates bills were due. So it wasn't like I didn't have the money to pay off my credit card. It was like I had no idea how much I owed and no idea how much it was due. Right? So like focusing on my credit score wasn't gonna get me anywhere when the next month the same thing was gonna happen as well.
Yeah.
Like people are so focused on that one number and not like their overall financial health. And then like moving outside the US, you know, but like credit score, first of all, being manufactured what, in the late 70s?
No,
Early
89.
80s, 80s, yeah, 80s,
89.
80s, yeah. Being manufactured, I knew I was alive. Being manufactured in the 80s, it doesn't mean anything. Like it means it only means what
It
we
means,
as a collective have allowed it to mean.
yes. I like this. This is something we don't think about. Credit is just debt. And so if you're fixated on your credit score, all it is about what kind of debt risk these people say you are.
Right?
And that's really all it is.
Like you can spend all your money trying to improve your credit score, or you can save more money and buy what you want in cash. Neither one of these are easy, quick answers, right? One of them is going to lead to more lifelong change and more lifelong success. And I'm not saying that to say that your credit score isn't important, because I know someone's going to be like, well, you can't get a job. You can't. Yes, right? That's true. But paying some, like the quick fixes to change it
Yeah. No.
aren't what you need. You need long-term habitual changes that will increase it over time naturally.
What tools do you use to manage your finances?
I use Mint to know where the money's going, not really to budget, because you've met me. What's the budget? Right.
But I also don't believe in budgeting, but for different reasons.
I like to track where our money's going. So I like Mint because it has category. I can see like, oh, I spent this much on healthcare. I spent this much on food. One month I told Adelia how much I spent on food, and she was so
Surprised? Is that the word you're looking for?
Judgmental. She was so judgmental. And then she saw how much she spent on food. And
It was
wasn't
like, hold on.
right? Miss ma'am. It wasn't as high as mine, but it wasn't as low as you thought it was going to be. Huh?
No, it was not.
Huh.
It was not. And that's when I was like, oh, we need to refocus our attention, because I'd been letting a little lifestyle creep get the better of me. And, you know, I had to rein things in. Okay. So you use anything other than Mint?
Nothing is coming to mind right now.
Okay, because somebody wanted to know if you use like Acorn, Betterment, Webull, M1, any of those.
So I used to use Acorn, and I realized I would just have money. I didn't like. Oh, they started charging me fees, and I was like,
yeah, I stopped using.
I stopped.
Whatever the other one was. Not Acorn, not the investing one, but it would move the money over to another account, which was fine. But when you wanted to charge me for that privilege, no, thank you.
Yeah. So Acorn had been free for what I was using it for like 10, 15 years. And they started charging fees in the last few years. And I was like, I would like my money.
Digit. That's what it was.
Digit? Okay.
Mint is good because I firmly believe you should know where the money is going. So Mint works really well for that. Digit is intended to help people save money, people who maybe kind of sabotage their own savings, or, you know, try to save from what's left instead of paying themselves first. So Digit would analyze your spending and would move small amounts of money over. I thought Digit was great while it was free. I just don't believe that you get enough to justify what they want to charge you, because I don't believe in paying for things that shouldn't be paid for like that. Okay. What is the one thing you will do differently with your finances in 2023?
I think I want to start being a more, as I'm saying it, I choked on that word. I don't think I saw that. I was about to say it. I was going to say, I think I want to start being a more active investor, but that's not actually what I want. That's not truly saying what I want to do. I want to start investing in individual stocks because I've never really done that before. And I want to start feeling
Why?
capable of that.
I'm
Just because,
curious why.
I like to learn how to do things. I like to dibble and dabble in things. I like to learn how to experience it. If it's not for me, tap out, right? Just, say I've done it. Not say I've done it because nobody cares, but like just do it and see what that feels like, what it's like, if I'm interested in doing more of it, if I like it, if I enjoy it, if I don't. But active is not the word I would describe. Now I know that individual stocks typically require a little bit more activity than mutual funds, and that's part of the reason I choked. I was saying active, and I was like, I don't want to be active.
No, you don't want to be active, but you might switch up what you're investing in and do a little research because you can still be a buy and hold investor with individual stocks. But it does take more research. I don't know that this question was for me, but things I want to do different with my money. I kind of actually started this in 2022 because my business stuff, like I was not tracking that. And I was looking at a visa and trying to qualify under a business visa. And they were like, well, you need to be able to say how much money you made. And I was like, I don't really know. So then I had to get my bookkeeping in order. So that's the big thing. I'm going to do bookkeeping and I'm probably maybe going to pay my quarterly taxes.
Oh,
Yay.
yes. I plan on doing that in 2022, and it is the fourth quarter and not a single tax has been paid. I was like, we're paying quarterly taxes. Listen, Exodus Summit, we're paying quarterly taxes. Rashida Down was paying quarterly taxes. No.
Yeah. Yeah.
I talked to my accountant the other day, and she was like, who are you? I mean, she didn't say that. She was like, okay, girl.
So yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. We got another question. Okay. I'm curious as to your answer to this. What influenced your mentality regarding your lifestyle?
I think the first time I realized I felt free during my career break, I wanted more of it. Freedom is like a high that I'm chasing, right? And so, like, what are the things that I can do that can lead to more time freedom, more space, more like spaciousness in my life, more money. I want my part of my like work goal is always to make sure that like the money and the effort are moving. Right? Like more money, less effort
Less
at
effort.
the same time. At the same time. This is what I want to do. More money, less effort. This is the goal. So I'm always like, how can I make more money and how can I put in less effort? Because that gap there, the gap in between is that freedom, right? Where like you can do whatever you want. I can go if I want to go to China for 6 months, I can do it. I can't. How long can I go to China for on a tourist visa?
3 months, I think.
Yeah. I still have a 10-year visa, so I can go, I think, for another
I was
2
going to
years.
say I used to have one. It's in my under my old name. So I don't know if I could even use it anymore, but
Yeah.
I think it's 3 months. I think it's 90 days.
Okay.
What influenced my mentality? Surviving the first half of my life and determination that the second half would be the way I wanted it to be. that I would only do the things that I wanted to do. I would only be around the people I wanted to be around. Um, that the second half, because I was fortunate enough to still be here, that I was going to be intentional with the second half of my life. So that has informed everything that y'all have seen, and why work is not the end all and be all for me, because like I got what, about 35 years left. I'm trying to get the most out of those 35. So that's that. We had We've got a couple of questions on your storage unit situation. So is the goal to get the stuff out of storage and get it to Mexico City? Is that the goal?
That sound shady, Angela? Rochelle? I don't think it was. Okay, so the goal is to get rid of most of the things in my storage.
Hold on, you broke up. You
Mexico,
froze. Start over.
Okay.
You froze.
All right. The goal was to get things from my storage unit in the Bay Area to Mexico in my apartment. But I want to get rid of like probably 95% of the things in my storage unit. We're coming up,
and I was gonna say, that's where I come in. That's my specialty.
You see, we have a little bit of a disconnect. I want her to be extra hands. She wants to be a brain.
I'm the little voice on your shoulder that says,
no,
but you don't really want to keep that.
I don't need that voice. I rebuke it. So I want to get rid of, we're going up with, I think we're going to be allowed like 4 suitcases back, 4 70-pound suitcases. And I want to have those stuffed to the gills, maybe even paying overweight fees, whatever. And that may be that might be 5% of my storage unit, right? There's a lot of stuff in there. So like my TV, my couch. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, I have a love seat from the 1950s that I'm like, this is the thing about like, that I got in a museum, from a museum. I like things. The thing about getting rid of my storage unit, things like that, like it's a vintage, like it's, whoo. And I'm sure the person who's going to take it isn't going to appreciate it with that I have. But I know I still need to get rid of it. Like I can't bring it down with me. I'm not going to move furniture down here. But I moved it from Ohio to California and I loved it. But like, the IKEA stuff can go. Y'all ain't got to love, right? Like the person who takes that doesn't have to love it. But like, that's the one thing I'm like, I need it to go to a special home.
So maybe you should start working on locating special homes for those special things.
Yeah, I don't have photos of it. So,
well,
yeah.
So I think this sounds like a video for your channel, for your main channel.
Boo,
like you're getting ready to go on your sabbatical. Like what are those things that you wish you would have done differently? Like your life would be easier now if you had photos of the things in that storage unit, because that would help you redistribute. I'm just saying.
Also,
I know you don't appreciate me saying it, but I'm just saying.
So, fun fact, Adelia doesn't know this, so I don't think I've ever said it on the internet before. Welcome. Come in. Okay. I moved to the Bay Area from Ohio in 2006, back to the Bay Area in 2016. I moved kind of short notice. I think I had like a month. Yes. Left. My house was on the market. The house on the market left in about a month. I moved my stuff in the truck. I moved it, bring it out, and then we unloaded it at the storage unit and put things in the storage unit.
I knew that's what you were going to say.
And then I was staying with my mom for a while in the Bay Area. And then when I got an apartment, I took things out of the storage unit to furnish the apartment. So I have a layer of things in the storage unit that I haven't seen since I left the Bay Area in 2018. But I also have a layer of things that I have not touched since I moved from my house in Columbus in 2016. And those are the things that are going to be trouble, because it's going to be like, why is there just a box of random like pens, right? Like, you know, when you're moving in a hurry and it's like, just put everything in a
And
box.
you just put it in a box, and I'll go
Just put it
through
in a
that
box.
later. And then it's time for the next move. And you're like, what is this box of stuff that I've
There's
not
a
seen
lot
in
of
years?
boxes like this that we're going to have to deal with.
Oh
Yay.
boy.
Yes.
Okay. All right. What would you have done differently retiring early if you had a chance to do it again?
I said it earlier, I would have been more intentional. I would have had a plan to retire early instead of having a dream and a wish, which is all I had. What about you?
I would have started. It pains me to admit this, but I was once young and very stupid. And I was counting on the things he was doing for retirement to be for me too.
You
Yes.
believed in a man?
I believed in a man. And then
Oh,
that man
child.
I can remember it was, what is this? Don't make me do the math. This is 2022. It was literally on this day or somewhere around this week in 2000. I'm not going to tell y'all the year, but I remember the year when that man showed me who he was. And I was like, I'm going to have to lead this nigga. So I went to Wells Fargo and opened my own checking account. Because I was like, I can already see now. It took me a minute to leave, but for investing, this is why I am here as somebody who can tell you that even if you didn't start in your 20s, it's still possible to amass some money, because I started late because I believed in a man. And then that man showed me who he was. And I was like, girl, you got to make up for this. So that's the thing I would have done differently, is I would have had my own investments earlier.
Okay. All right.
What is the best thing in your life right now?
Peace. Peace. Truly, I rarely ever get stressed out. For why? For who? I don't talk to people I don't like. I don't have hardly ever any pressing deadlines. I feel at peace, I would say like 99% of the time. And if I don't feel at peace, it's something like random. You?
That's awesome. What was the question? Oh, the best thing in my life?
Mm-hmm.
Knowing or understanding, I don't know how to put it. There is a contentment that I have, because you talk about this a lot, like folks not knowing when they have enough, when they've done enough. The contentment I have and being able to divorce myself from hustle culture, that is the best thing in my life right now.
Okay.
Okay. I think I kind of answered Greta's question. But I'm curious for you. I think I know the answer to this, but what was your wake-up call to get your finances in order? Start investing?
That financial advisor? I didn't get into the depths of how bad her financial advice was, but she told me, and I was literally 20, in my early 20s. I didn't know any better. I just bought my house. She told me to take out a home equity line of credit to pay off my credit card debt.
Was her financial institution going to profit from that?
I don't know if I don't remember where. I think I got the HELOC from. Now that I'm thinking about where I got it from, I don't know. I didn't get it from her, but I don't know if there was like an affiliate link. I don't know. I don't know if there was any kind of relationship. Now that I think about it, but or any kind of referral fee, etc. My mom at the time was like, kind of saying the same thing I just said, which was, okay, paying off your credit card debt is fine, but if you don't stop your spending, like you're just gonna be in credit card debt again. And you know how like when your mom says something, it's like, yeah, girl, whatever, right? Like, please get away from me with your foolishness. And then somehow I was in credit card debt again. I was like, oh, okay, so now I have the mortgage, the line of credit, and credit card debt.
When did you get laid off? Was it?
2009.
No, I mean like in reference to this.
Oh, I still had all that stuff going on. The HELOC might have been paid. Nope. No. I still all that stuff. So, and that was getting laid off was actually the wake up call. For me, getting laid off was a wake up call because I bought a house that I could afford. My realtor, you know, some people give you advice and you're like, I don't quite know where you're coming from with this advice about my first house. She was like, the bank had faxed her the amount of money that I was approved for. And she was like, don't spend all that money on a house. Don't do that. She was like, don't take out the large. She was like, don't do that. And so the loan I took out was like 1/5 of the amount that I was approved for. And so I could service the debt. But when I was unemployed, when I was laid off for like 6 months with no income coming in, I was like, and I had debt and the student loan that I told you all about. The lady was like, well, not right. Like when I said she was not looking out for me, it was a whole bunch of stuff that like could have been the solution for somebody, but it wasn't for me. And it wasn't just to sell me these things and walk away, which is what she did, right? That wasn't the solution for me, because in the time, the investments money I'd given to her invest hadn't grown in a way that would offset the credit card that I got back in, right? Or anything else. So anyway, having 6 months of being like, girl, how are we gonna pay this? Oh, I have to get rid of cable? I have to get rid of the kit. That was a wake up call. That was when I was like, okay, we're gonna pay it. That was when I was like, I really hate how this debt feels because I don't know how I'm going to pay it. I don't know. I don't have any income. There was no severance. People were trifling. There was no money coming in. There was unemployment. That was it. And it was like, how do I pay off this? Because I had over 6 figures in student loan debt. So it was like, and a lot of that was private. So it was like, how am I going to take care of that? The minute I got a job, I was like, we get out of debt, baby. We get
not gonna be there again.
I cannot be there again. I can't, because listen, now I know a layoff can happen whenever they feel like it. Because they told us 1 week that we are family and they would never lay any of us off. It wasn't a month later. They laid off 20% of the associates. You got us all together in a room and told us we're family. There's no way you're doing layoffs. And now look. Was it just so that you surprised us and we wouldn't go looking for jobs?
That's exactly what it was.
That's special. That's special. I hate you. That was the thing that changed for me.
Depending on how I do the math, how long from the day of opening that account until I retired, it was between 8 to 12 years later where I was like, I don't work places I don't want to work anymore. So yeah, financial independence in about 8 to 12 years. So, and again, y'all remember I never made six figures in my whole adult working life. So anything is possible. Do either of you feel like living outside of the country to afford your lifestyle and live off your current finances is a trade-off to the good USA life?
Okay. We have the same answer. We both already know what it is. Neither one of us is living outside of the USA to afford our lifestyle.
Well, I am. I couldn't live this life.
You couldn't
in the US.
You would be working in the US.
Yes, I would be working. Like
I would probably work. I'd want to live in the Bay Area. I'd probably work in the US too. But that's not why you chose to. That's not why I chose to live outside of the US.
I actually chose to live outside the US because the good USA life is some BS. And
it's not good for me.
And it was in living outside the US that I then figured out, oh, the money has moneyed and I don't have to work for people I don't want to anymore.
That's exactly what happened to me. So when after my career break as it was wrapping up, my friends were like, here's a job here, here's a job here, here's a job here. And I was like, I can't, no. Like, come work with me at Facebook. No. But thank you for the generous offer, but no. And that was the first time I really became familiar with FIRE. It was when my break was over. I'd already been traveling the world for a year. I'd already been retired for a year and didn't know it. But I was trying to figure out, like, how long can this money last? I think I sat down and I Googled something like the amount of money I have, like how long can I live on this money? And that's when I figured out, like, that there was a whole FIRE calculator. I didn't know that before then. And I did the math and I was like, if I take, 4% of the money, that's this much. Can I live comfortably in the USA on this much? People do it every day. People do it every day. People live comfortably on this much every day, right? But I don't want to live in the US. Like, for me, I'm like, you already know, like, it's the vibes. I am the vibes on the team. I went to Mexico City and I was like, this is where I want to live. This is it. And when I saw how much further my money could go here in Mexico City, I was like, that's even better. Yes, and thank you. Right? So it wasn't like I couldn't live in the US. It's that it wasn't my choice. And outside of the US, my life is just easier. So it's like we talk to people all the time who are like stressed about work. The USA creates conditions in which almost everyone you deal with is stressed out about something.
Yep.
All the time. In most countries, it's not like that.
Because I worked outside of the US and it was night and day to my experience working in the US. So that was already a big change for me. But yeah, the life that I wanted to live really was not, even if we don't even include the work piece of it, it wasn't in the US for me. So I went and found it.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. No. It was traveling for me for a year, but let me know that like, oh, everybody else has it right and we have it wrong. Everybody else is doing better than we are. Everybody else is like happy and chilling, and we stressed about, I don't know, the drive-through and getting our order right.
Well, and I am going to be here for weeks, and a lot of that is just going to be spent indoors because when I go out into society here, it's so much harder than how I normally live my life. Everything is much more difficult, and that's no fun. That's no fun. That's no fun. Okay, we have time for one more question. Are there any side hustles or businesses that you started, then decided to drop or pivot away from for any reason?
It's not a separate side hustle, but I'm pivoting away from one-on-one coaching. And to be perfectly transparent, I'm pivoting by raising my prices. Right? Like, if you want to book, you can book, and it'll be valuable. You will definitely get what you're paying for. But I'm not marketing them. I've raised the price. I think they give people a lot of value, but I don't necessarily feel joyful when I'm coming into them. The effort and the money feels neck and neck.
And we want that to go.
We want to do that here, right? And that doesn't mean, as a business owner, it doesn't mean that I want like value and price not to be aligned, right? I want people to get more value than the price they're paying. I want them to feel like they're getting what they want. But I also want to come into the transaction, into the moment with a client feeling like, yes, this is going to light me up too. Because if it doesn't light you up, don't do it.
Yeah, it's not a hell yes.
Some one-on-ones, I'm like, yes, magic girl. Woo, we did that. And some one-on-ones don't feel like that. And I don't want to do it anymore. People, like, some humans are draining and sometimes it's just not worth, there's no number you can put on being drained for the day.
Yeah.
Right?
There have been, I am not entrepreneurial. I do not have an entrepreneurial spirit. And I think I got caught up in the, oh, you know how to do X, Y, and Z. You should monetize that. And if it's not a hell yes, it's a no. But the most recent thing I'm thinking about is like once upon a time, I was trying to be a travel blogger. And I had to come to terms and have a come to Jesus moment with myself in that when the way I travel, I don't want to be beholden to anyone to produce content. I don't want to be beholden in choosing where I travel, when I travel, how I travel. So that means I cannot be a travel content creator in the traditional sense, like the way travel bloggers do it. So I had to pivot away from that with the quickness. So
yeah, for me, I'm kind of in the same space where I am very selective about, I have no interest in being, I like creating travel content, but I have no interest. I like creating travel content that I like. Right?
Yep.
Like there are places, I've gone to Vancouver at least once a year, every year since I was 18. That's a lot of years of going to Vancouver. There's absolutely nothing on my channel about being in Vancouver. Maybe you're not getting it. You're not. And every year I take it like I fly in a seaplane from Vancouver to Vancouver Island from British Columbia over to Vancouver Island, or it's up all in British Columbia, whatever. It's beautiful. I took a ferry over last time. I'm taking video. Who will ever see it? Me and God.
Yeah.
I'm not. And even some stuff like surfing. Do I have videos of me surfing? No, because I was surfing.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are things that people ask for, and I'm like, unless y'all gonna send me a camera crew, it's not happening. I also think that, and this is kind of a tangent again, people don't realize how much effort is behind the scenes in the travel content they really like, right? Like there's an Instagram husband, or a whole camera, or a whole
if
team.
you don't have a team,
there are the content you love. 6 people might have touched it before it got on the internet, right? Maybe more. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think that the fact that this is invisible makes people think that everyone can and should be doing that. Like I get all the time, oh, I want to see this, I want to see that. And I'm like, okay. I want to film and that's not knocking you. That's not saying don't tell me what you want to see, because if I can do it, I will. But like,
yeah,
I can do a talking head video and tell you what the experience was, but am I going to be down there? Like, say I could set up a camera, and I was like, when I get back from the beach, my camera not going to be there. Like, petty theft is a thing here. Ooh, yes. Sidebar. I'm gonna save this one for I'm gonna make a video about the car. Save this little tidbit, but yes, your phone will be gone. So, travel content creation is an industry,
and I figured out like who I am and the way I move does not work with that. And so I'm very big on not like, what's the word? Is it pushing? Like, if it seems too hard, sometimes you're not supposed to be doing it. And I'm not trying to push a rock uphill. So no. So yeah, that's why I pivoted away from that. Well, thank you, Miss Rashida Doe.
Thanks for having me. New channel.
If you have not, please go over to Rashida Doe on YouTube if you have not already, and subscribe to her channel, and you will get all kinds of money making content, money spending content, money.
Oh, people told me they liked the name. This was a Stephanie Perry production. The name.
Stephanie Perry Media.
Stephanie Perry Media created,
consulted on that.
Yes, I was like, I need a name, and she was like, let's talk through this. She said Rashida Doe, and I was like, that's the one. Okay. She knew.
Smile. I always never get a picture. Okay, I got a picture now. Am I gonna post it? We'll see. Thank you so much for taking out some time from your adventures in Senegal. We are all waiting to hear more about how the trip is going, the things that you are doing. And we can find more about that on your other YouTube channel that is currently called Sheeta's on the Loose, that will eventually be rebranded, depending on when you're watching this, to Rashida Doe.
Whenever it happens, it happens. Right? That's what we say. Whenever it happens, it happens.
All right. So good night to you, to everybody else. Enjoy the rest of your winter solstice. Get out in nature. Welcome the sun because it returns tomorrow incrementally, a little bit at a time. If you happen to be in the southern hemisphere, enjoy your longest day of the year. It's party time. It's summertime down there. So, bye, y'all.
Bye.